So, what? Well, guys, remember we have been reading this book, The Four Agreements, for the last few days as a way to motivate us, to motivate each other, to get up, get out, do what we must, do what we have to do. And in reading this book, The Four Agreement, we see where we get some valuable lessons like let your words use kind words when you speak. Use kind words when you speak because kind words leads to kind actions, and kind words also help to elevate and motivate those around you. If you continue to use unkind words to people, especially to your children, if you use unkind words to your children might see those words as truth. If you tell your child that they're ugly or they can't sing, or use some other negative words to your children might grow up believing it. Imagine you being told by your parents that you are ugly, and you grow up thinking that you are ugly, and thereby not even wanting to venture into any situation that is going to call into question the way you look, because you think, oh, I'm not going on the internet. I'm not going to show my face on the internet because I think I'm ugly. Or because your mom said that to you when you were 5 years old, and now you are 35 and still believing that you are ugly. Be careful of the words you use to your children. And then again, for those who have had the experiences of others being unkind, on using unkind words to you, that word, according to the book The Four Agreements, that word can only affect you if you make that agreement with that word. Somebody say you are ugly, you would have to agree to it for it to affect you. If you dismiss it and you continue to live your life, getting dressed every morning, get up, wake up, dress up, and step out, and nobody can stop you, then you have dismissed that statement by that unkind person. And now you have taken on a new agreement to say to yourself, I am not what you think I am. I am not what you think about me. You could think all you want that I am ugly, but unless I agree with you, then that statement will never affect me as negatively as you would want it to. Lyndon Vitalis, how are you doing, Lyndon? Bless up yourself. Good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And also, I have here Susan, D, Yakisha, Fresh, Brick. Everybody's here. Welcome, guys. Thank you all so much for coming. We are going to continue to read the book, The Four Agreements, and we are on to the third agreement. Yeah, we're on to the third agreement. We're all about uplifting each other and making each other's presence be worthy, and not making others feel as though they are undesirables and they do not belong here. Each of us have our space in this world, and we don't have the right to make others feel neglected and feel as though they do not belong. All right? So here we go. The third agreement. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe that they are truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our words. That is why, whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember now, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big mitote in the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our minds. Because we don't understand something, we make an assumption about the meaning. And when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it was not what we thought it was all about. An example: you are walking in the mall and you see a person you like. The person turns to you and smile and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole drama begins to form just from your assumptions, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Ah, and so it does do happen on the internet. Somebody comes in your chat and says hello to you, hi, how you doing? And all of a sudden you interpret that as, oh, this person wants a relationship. Next thing you know, you start sending your money all over the world, going to people you ain't never met, people you don't know. All of a sudden you start accepting fake gifts. All of a sudden you turn one yamamela like myself. AG, what's AG? Good morning, AG. How you doing? Good morning. What's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, the Sigma, James, and everybody else. Welcome. Welcome. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and what we don't have to say, and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel so hurt and say, you should have known. Another example: you decide to get married and you make the assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and you find out that this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. Your husband comes home from work and you are mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because you have made an assumption. Without telling him what you want, you make an assumption that he knows you so well, that he knows what you want, as if he can read your mind. Then you get so upset because he fails to meet your expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, lots of misunderstandings with people you are supposed to love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. They are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know better. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. And if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions. We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreements that it is not safe to ask questions. We have an agreement that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. Now, we talk about that a lot because we talk about the people who have their religious beliefs that they will defend to the death without even stopping to recognize that these are just your beliefs. You have just taken on this combination of words and assume that it is true. But there is no proof, there is no evidence that you are righter than me. You could be right, I could be right. You could be wrong, I could be wrong. There is nothing that says your position is better than my position. But a lot of religious people don't want to agree to disagree. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. This is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I'm able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when we go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumption is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will never change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Then something happens between the two of you and you get hurt. Suddenly, you see what you didn't want to see before. Only now it is amplified by your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame them for your choices. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. Of course, if you decide to live with somebody, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want them to be. Find someone who you don't have to change at all. It is much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change somebody. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she won't try to change you at all. If others feel they have to change you, that means they really don't love you just the way you are. So why be with someone if you are not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are. So we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with others are clear and impeccable. Just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way you keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you yes or no, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to answer. If you don't understand something, it is better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate clearly and cleanly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. With clear communication, all of your relationships will change, not only with your partner, but with everyone else. You won't need to make assumptions because everything becomes so clear. This is what I want. This is what you want. If you communicate in this way, our word becomes impeccable. If all humans could communicate in this way with impeccability of the word, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings. All human problems would be resolved if we could just have good, clear communication. Then this. This is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature, and you will see how the magic of your word transforms you from a black magician into a white magician. Now, I told you before that that's one thing that the author says that I'm not in agreement with, associating the negative with black and the positives with white. Yeah, but we're going to continue reading. A white magician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec. This is the path to personal freedom. And that, my friends, is the third agreement according to Don Miguel Ruiz. They say this is a Toltec book of wisdom. Nice book. Great. Nice writings. I sincerely appreciate it. Yeah. When we come back tomorrow, we will read about the fourth agreement that says always do your best. Yeah. Always do your best. All right. Oh, wow. In 22 minutes, I finished reading that. AG, how are you doing? Lyndon is here as well. How you doing, Lyndon? Who else is in the house? Guys, don't just stay in the background. Say something. Say something. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We are finished reading that book, but we're going to talk a little bit about what is going on. What's going on? What's going on in the news, my friends? A whole heap of things going on, A whole lot of things. Here I open my phone and what? Yeah, lots of things going on in the news today. One of the things that we see happening in the news, Lord have mercy, Rudy Giuliani now learn. Rudy Giuliani is not learning at all. Rudy Giuliani just got Rudy Giuliani was just convicted of lying about those two election workers in Georgia, and he was ordered to pay a sum of $100 and some $100 and some million. What am I talking about thousand? $100 million he was charged in that defamation case. And as soon as Giuliani come out of court, he starts talking the same thing that he was just convicted of. Now, when is this man going to learn? I guess he's not going to, because according to him, what he said was the truth. And he's not going to stop saying it because it was the truth. And the more him say it, is the more them going to sue him and the more he going to have to pay. I guess maybe he's not even worried about paying anything anymore, because he maybe say, me have one foot in the grave and one foot out. So if them even charge me in a business, them not going to get a cent. So I'm going to continue spewing the lies and saying all the things that I want to say. I don't know what his justification for what he's doing, but him continue doing the foolishness. Another thing that I saw this week, all right, people, we're still talking about, and wondering what happened to Melissa Silvera. We are still talking about that, but me not see no new news this morning. You don't see anything new this morning? Let me see if there was anything new in Jamaica news this morning. Lord of His mercy. Let me see what happened in Jamaica today. Latest news. For those of you who weren't here last night, yeah, the police has seized Joyland Silvera. The police seized his weapon. So now them are going to do ballistic test on it to determine if that was the weapon that that was used in the murder of his wife. So we are sure we're going to hear more about that as time goes by. Yeah, we're going to hear more about that and see exactly what happened, because I'm just as curious as the rest of you to find out what happened to Melissa Silvera. Who slew Melissa Silvera? All right, we're going to find that out. The Jamaican dollar is $155 to the US dollars. It has been stable around that 150 for a long time now. It's still there, 150, 155. On the black market, you can get a 160, 170 for $1 US. Yeah. And that makes life in Jamaica so much more difficult financially. As pretty as Jamaica is, the struggle is really struggle real over here. To come in, I know the American broke, but it does happen no matter where you are. Yeah, life happens, things happen, and that's how it go. And also last week I brought you all the news of the two siblings, the girl and the boy, the brother and sister, who them slay and bury. We still not hear nothing. So with every day that passes by, them the underground are decompose more and more. So by the time them find them, if they find them, it's gonna be bones. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, life goes on with all the changes that happen in life. Life does go on. I'm encouraging and imploring you all to be good to each other. Be nice to each other. And if you can't be nice to someone, just avoid them. Just avoid them. Okay? You don't need to be unkind. You don't need to be cruel. You don't need all of that. Just avoid people. Walk away. And don't just walk away, but stay away. All right. All right, now, guys, I'm gonna do my little baking. I will see you all later. All right. Call me, text me, and talk to me. All right. See you all later, guys. Have yourselves a great day.